Yes, so we have used in our projects, we have used streams extensively, real complex implementation of streams. I think someone is not on mute. Please go on mute. Thank you. So we have used extensively many of places. We have done almost all the processing using streams. This is completely based on the principles of functional programming. Streams are designed. Stream, is the API that is out of the box available from Java 1.8 onwards, and it is completely designed around the principles of functional programming. And you will see that all of these are the functions, like filter is a function, which takes a functional interface as a parameter, an object of type functional interface. I repeat, an object of type a functional interface. That functional interface can be anything. It is a filter, so it takes a predicate. I repeat, it takes a predicate. See, for example, take a look at this. If I don't give anything out here, so what it is expecting here is a predicate. Can you see this? Right? Streams. Okay, I'll go to the filter function, and you see this, it takes a predicate. And you remember, we have already discussed this in detail. What are predicates? What are by consumers? What are consumers? What is a function? What are by functions? And so on. We have discussed all that, right? So this takes a predicate. Predicate is an implementation of a predicate interface. Like, it takes an implementation, an object of type predicate interface. So I can very well say new, and I can say predicate. You see this? And then I can provide the implementation here. I will provide the implementation as, I'll say return. I'll write s dot contains a shape, something like this. So this is an anonymous class. You remember that? You remember earlier? This is an anonymous class implementing predicate interface. And this is the implementation of the function in the predicate interface. If you go to predicate, you see this here. Test is the name of the function. We know very well what our interface is now and what it really means by creating an anonymous class, an inlined class that implements some interface, and then you implement the function of that interface here. But since predicate is a functional interface, and what makes it a functional interface? Is it this annotation that makes it a functional interface? No, it is not this annotation that makes it a functional interface. The fact that it has just one single abstract method makes it a functional interface. And yes, this is an additional information, like, it's good for the IDEs, it's good for many other reasons why this really helps. There is an explicit mention here that, okay, this is a functional interface, though the fact is that because of this interface having one single abstract function in it, this function becomes a functional interface. There are other functions as well. Take a look. There is a function called and, there is a function called negate, there is a function called or, there is a function called is equal, and so on. But these functions are not abstract functions, they are default functions. What does that mean? It doesn't end with a semicolon. It's not just simply the declaration of the function, but it does have the default implementation. Take a look. Again, this is possible. Writing a default function in an interface became possible only from 1.8 onwards. Java 1.8 onwards. I'll repeat once again. Having a default function written in a having a default function written in an interface became a possibility only and only from Java 1.8. Prior to Java 1.8, there was no such concept of having any default function, any default implementation in the functional interface. Moreover, you can also have a static function. Can you see this? There is a static function here.
Yes, sir.
Right. So static functions and default functions in an interface. I will repeat this two more times. The static function and the default functions became a possibility in an interface only from Java 1.8 onwards. I repeat, only and only from Java 1.8 onwards, it facilitated creating static and default functions in an interface. If it's a default function, then in that case, on an instance of anything that implements predicate interface, you can invoke this method. And static here means this not is a static method. What does this mean? I do not really need to have an instance of this functional object of this functional interface. I can just simply say predicate dot not. Whenever you have anything static, whatever the type is, this is also known as a type. This is a type. A class is a type, a custom data type. See? So you will come across this kind of this term very often, type, T-Y-P-E, type. Type means whatever is the data type, whatever is the custom type, whatever is the data type. So this is the type predicate dot. When you say not, it's possible. Why? Because it's not a default instance based, it is static. All right. So you can just simply say type dot and the name of the function. So coming back here, friends, you see this, we have, sorry, collections demo. Yeah, here. So stream has got something called filter. It has got many things. Stream has got a lot of things. And processing values in a collection. I repeat, processing values in a collection. Once again, processing values in a collection is one of the most you know I mean you will see yourself doing this the most while you are writing your project. I'll repeat this once again. You will find yourself doing this the most. What? Processing the data in collections while you are writing a project, whether it is in Java or Python, or you're writing node-based application, or you're writing Dart-based application, whatever the case is. Is there anyone who would be interested in, going through the training, being the part of the entire thing, participating in the projects, doing the task, but not doing R&D in Java or anything? But as far as your time is concerned, when it comes to learning, whenever time is given to you, or whenever you find time for learning, all the same things that we are learning here, try to do it in Dart. See if one of you or two of you, not all, we need a lot of people here also. So coming back here, you will find yourself doing this a lot, processing data in a collection and streaming over a collection. As when you stream one after, what do you mean by stream? Stream of water continuously, getting some water. So stream of something is like, one after the other, after the other, after the other. You get elements and you are processing those elements. As I said, everywhere you will find yourself doing exactly almost the same thing. But what are the things that you will be doing on data in a collection while streaming through that data? I'll repeat once again. What is it that you will be doing? What all are the operations that you may want to perform on the data that is there in a collection while streaming over it? So you would want to filter the data. I want only and only those names that contains sheikh. It can be any other condition. It can be some other complex condition with and, or, and so on. So you may filter the data. You may transform the data. I repeat, you may transform the data. Very often you would end up doing that. You would want to transform the data. What I mean to say here is that you have okay. So you do have names out here. Suppose I want to, or else let's take another example. Let's take it to another example. I'll say list of customer. You remember customer class we had created?
Yes, sir.
Sorry, I'll close this. So I'll say customers is equal to, I'll say list dot of, and I'll say new customer. Okay, and I hope I do have okay, this is an abstract class. So okay, I'll create export customer. I'll do one thing. I will create a new model class. I will give the name of that model class as product, suppose. Okay. Or else let me do this. Instead of product, let me create employee as the name of the class. And here also I'll write @data. You remember from Lombok @data? Now, since I have given @data, I don't have to give the ID. I don't have to generate center getter methods. I don't have to write my equals. I don't have to write the hash code. All of that will be available. So I'll say employee ID. This is a good string employee name. So I'll just say name, and I'll say employee ID is fine. I'll just keep two properties for now. And here I will have, now automatically there is an implicit constructor out here, which is the default constructor. So if not, then I'll say @all-args constructor. And I'll write @no-args. Now what will this do? This will automatically internally define a constructor with no arguments. And this will define a constructor with two arguments, or rather with the arguments equal to the properties. I mean, if there are 10 properties, it will create a constructor with all the 10 properties. Okay. So see, I go back over here, and instead of saying customer, I'll say list of, I'll say employee. Okay. And I'll say employees is equal to, I'll say list dot of, and I'll say new employee. Now, can you see this? When I say new employee, I can just simply create a new employee like this. Okay. Or else I can create a new employee, passing the two parameters. I'll say ID is, it's string or what? Doesn't. So as ID is 101, comma, and the name of the employee is, say, for example, Umar. Okay, now you see this. I have two objects here. One is the object that I have created of class employee without any parameters. This is the default constructor. Take a look. So if I do not give this, I'll get an error over here. Why? Because I do not have a default constructor declared here. Neither did I create it manually, nor did I create it through a Lombok. So I need to go back over here and I say, okay, give me the constructor that does not take any arguments. And if I comment this, then in that case, this will give me an error. There is no constructor which takes two arguments. So I go back over here and I say all args constructor. That means create automatically, implicitly create a constructor which takes all the arguments, which are, the properties of this class. So employee ID and employee name, and internally it will automatically create the constructor. So here you are. I go back to this and then see everything compiles. I'll say new employee. Let me also create an employee 102, and I'll say, Rehan, and then comma, and I'll say new employee, and I'll say 103 dot comma, and I'll say Farhan. Okay, so these are the objects that I have created. Perfect. Okay, I'll do one more thing, friends. In order to make these examples all the more meaningful. Yes. Okay, I'll just go back to employee class, and I will also add something called city. Private string city. Now this will again give me an error over here, collections demo. Why? Because all arguments constructor now will also include all arguments, right? And I have not passed city over here. So the implicit constructor that was created is with 3 arguments, and I'm passing only 3. So I'll say Bhopal. And here I'll say again Bhopal. And Farhan, I'll say Aberdeen. And here I'll yet another employee, I'll say 104. I'll give the name as Shaista, and here I'll say London. Okay, here you go. I'll create one more. And I'll say Amin, and that also is London. Okay, here you are. So all of these are, let me add some more. Say, for example, I'll say 106. I can say 140, 41, whatever. Say Prashant, and I'll say Bhopal. Okay, here you go. Fine. So all of these are the employees that are there, suppose, in the company. Now, I will start processing them. For example, I'll just give you an example of creating I want a list of all the employees, okay, which are Bhopal employees. I'll say Bhopal emps is equal to, what will I do? Will I run a for loop or something? No. I'll say employees dot, I'll say stream. Always write in this format. Huh? It makes your code more readable when it comes to using this pattern. Okay, so stream, and then I say filter. Now in filter, I am streaming through which objects, friends? Tell me. I am streaming through which objects? Which objects? Employee. So when I say filter, what will I be filtering? The employee objects. That means here, what I get when I say X out here, this X will be what? I get
Employee.
Correct, employee. I'll say M for clarity purpose. I'll say M. So I'll say emp, very simple. And I'll say emp dot get city dot equals, and I'll say Bhopal. Here you are. And I'll say dot, I'll write collect all the data into a list. I'll write system.out.println. I'll say Bhopal emps. See, this becomes so very simple. And now I just simply run this code. Oh, there is a null pointer exception somewhere. See, when I say get city, it is returning a null. Okay, it's returning a null, and then I say dot equals on it. So how come get city is null? Because I did pass city as a parameter to each one. No, here it is. You see this? I have used a constructor to create one of the employees. The very first employee, I used the default constructor. That means the value of ID, name, and city will not be set. Okay. So I will do one thing here. I'll say 100, comma, and I'll say Pranjal, and comma, and I'll say Bhopal. Now this will not give me an error because there is no such object with city as null. Here you are. You can see this here, employee objects, you see. I get the employee objects only and only those that are in Bhopal. Got it. I did not get, Farhan, I did not get Shaista, I did not get Amin. They're not there, right? So only those employees which are in Bhopal. Now, this is good. But now you see, I was talking about what? I was talking about. So this gives me all the employee objects. This gives me the list of employee objects. So I will keep this as it is. I will keep this as it is. Okay. And here I'll say once again, Bhopal ems2, I'll say, and I'll print 2. But here what I'm going to do is, I do not want the entire object. Rather, I want the employee object. Note my words very carefully. If you miss this, you will miss the point. I want employee objects to be transformed into name of employee objects. I will repeat once again. I want the employee objects to be transformed into name of employee objects. That means I just want the names. But what I have here is what? What I have here is our employee objects. So what I'll do here is that I'll say map employee objects into map. You see, map, transform. Map it into what? I'll say name. So how will I do that? So what I get here is emp. What I get here is employee emp. So I'll say emp, and I'll say emp dot get name. So what I end up getting here is that. So of course, this is giving me an error because I have transformed the stream of employee objects to the stream of string. Get name will return to me a name, which is a string. So this employee object gets transformed into name. A name happens to be string. So I'll say list of what? String. Now when I run this, please see, I'll get just the names. Can you see this? Pranjal, Umar, Rehan, and Prashant. Getting it, friends?
Yes, sir.
It is also possible that I may want to transform this not to a string, but one object transformed to another. Suppose one object transformed to another. So I'll create Java class and I'll say city-wise employee. And I'll create two things over here. I'll say private int employee ID and private string just the city. Suppose for some reason I have decided I'll say @data. Okay, @data. I'll write all args constructor, no args constructor. I have done the city-wise employee. So what I'm going to do now is that instead of transforming it into a string of names, what I want is that I want both the name as well as city. So what I'll do is that I will just simply do away with this. I'll say this is 3, and here I'll say I'll print 3, but I do not want the list of string. Rather, I want the list of city-wise employee. Of course, when that is the case, I will have to map employee object to what object? Employee-wise city object. So I will now do this. You see this? I'll open and close bracket. I will say city-wise employee is equal to new city-wise employee, and set this and city-wise employee dot set employee ID as emp dot get employee ID. See, let me put this on the next line. So it's more. See this here. So what I'm doing here is that I'm transforming the employee object into city-wise employee object, setting the value of employee city and employee ID into it. And what will I return back here? Instead of returning a string or this, I'll say city-wise employee is what I'm returning. Done. So what do I have here? When I started, I had stream of employee, then I filtered it out, and then I have mapped, transformed the employee object into city-wise employee object. What I now have is the stream of city-wise employee object. I'm collecting it to list, and that's what I'm putting it over here. So now you see this. I'll write system.out.println. Let's print this and see. See, I've got city-wise employee object, employee ID, Bhopal 101, Bhopal, employee ID 102, Bhopal 106, Bhopal. There you go. Suppose if I wanted, say, London, then I'll get 2. You see this? I'll get 2 objects, London, Shaista 104 and this. Okay, I've used employee ID. I could have set the names. Right? So, and so on. So I get the ID and the city of that particular employee ID. So this is how you use map. Now, there are loads of other things as well. What you can do with stream, it's marvelous. You can do a lot of things. There are special collectors available which helps you to group as well. Okay. Now you see this. Suppose I want city-wise employees. London, who all are the employees? Bhopal, who are the employees? Aberdeen, who are the employees? That's what I want. Now, if you try to implement all of these things with that for loop and if statement and all, it will be pretty clumsy for you to maintain. Moreover, there is yet another big reason why you would use streams, especially in those cases where you have, end of the day processes or some kind of a cron job running wherein you are dealing with millions of records, millions of objects in stream, and you would want to parallelize the work. We will come to that later. But then here you can do wonderful things here. What if I just wanted to map? I wanted that grouping to be done. So let's try and do that grouping here with this, employees that we have already. So I'll keep everything as it is. What I want is a list of I want a map of string. See, this is where data structures come into picture. What is it that you will be using? Will you use a map? You will use a list? You will use a map of map, or you will use a list containing a map, or you will use a map. Within that, you will have a list. This is where data structures come into picture. And if people are unable to get their head around the data structure, then there is a problem. But trust me, my personal experience with with freshers, with a couple of them, I saw that I've got it was like, they are my own family members, hence I could talk to them. I was so clear on what they're going through. So I used to explain to them the data structure, the basic data structure and the basic things, real life things. See, this is an object, that is an object. We receive an electricity bill at home, that is an object. Our society gives us a maintenance bill, that the bill is a class, and the exact bill that we receive with a particular bill number, that is an object. and so on, but they were unable to get their heads around it. So I thought, I had made a statement like, नहीं होगा आपसे यार, छोड़ दो यार, इतनी basic चीज नहीं समझ में आ रही आपको. But then they are doing extremely well in their careers, extremely well, brilliant. It's just that it takes some time. So I was wrong. I was terribly wrong. So initially, it may take some time. People do not get their head freshers. It's okay. You're just coming into this world of programming and working with data and stuff and all. But very, very, within few months down the line, it will be like next to breathing for you. So don't get disheartened at all. If at all you find yourself, struggling with, oh my God, where to use map, where to use list, no, don't try to by heart anything. Don't take tensions at all. This will all automatically flow. So I want a map of string, so key will be string and the list of, I'll say employee. So key and list, key and value. Key will be like say London, employee objects 1, 2, 3. Aberdeen, one object. And I'm saying 1, 3 because I already know my data. I've outputted the data. I'm not retrieving it from the database. So I know. So, London, I must get two objects, Amin and Shaista. Right. So here you are. So this is what I want. And I right all there with me, right? Sab so to nahi gaye? City wise employees. Thandi hai na?
Yes, sir.
But it's not सुबह सुबह for भोपाली it's very सुबह सुबह is it? मैंने ये सुना है समीर भाई से और बहुत सारे लोग मुझे बोले वहां पे रात को लेट जागने का चलन है एंड सुबह लेट तक सोते हैं. I hope you are all fresh and I have undivided attention from all of you. Chai, shy, coffee shop.
Yes, sir.
Good. Nice. Okay, so you see stream. Now, I don't know what I will be writing ahead. But I know that there is a solution to this. 1000 बार कर चुके हैं. अब ये सब चीजें का बाहर करके बहुत सारी चीज 10 बार करे हो. आपने 10 बार वही चीज लिखा है ना, तो आपको नेक्स्ट 1-2 महीने तक के इट विल बी लाइक नेक्स्ट टू ब्रीदिंग फॉर यू. फिर बीच में 4-5 महीना आपने कुछ और किया एंड देन अगेन you'll take some time to recollect back. Otherwise, you can take help of ChatGPT or whatever. That's what even I will do if I'm able to get it. So don't worry, it happens. We are here to. कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. ऐसा कोई जो 1000 करोड़ों चीजें दिमाग में you don't even know. That's the beauty of human mind. रिकलेक्ट हो जाता है, कुछ बाय हार्ट करने की जरूरत. The stream. And now what I understand is that I can do this with the help of collectors directly. Collect, and I'll say collectors dot grouping by, I'll say X. ये लोगों का कितना स्मार्ट है. Code completion. This X represents what? This X represents the employee object. If you want, I'll make it more simple. Emp. Okay, and emp dot city. Fine. Here you are. Done. It's actually done. And okay. Why is this giving me an error? This is correct. One bracket was missing. Here you go. I'll just simply so see it's such a powerful collector. It's such a powerful this is a collectors dot grouping. This is the static function on collectors class. See grouping. It's a static. You can see the static grouping by. Okay, and then what I'm going to do here is I'll write system.out.println and I'll say city wise emps. And now you will see for yourself. See. Can you see this? City, here it is. Aberdeen, Farhan, London, Shaista, and Amin. You can see that. And rest. Okay, I will print it, in a much better way for you. I'll write map.entry each. Yeah, this is perfect. Okay, so here you see this. I have map.entry. That means I am iterating over city-wise emps. I'm iterating. I'm getting an entry set. This entry set will help me to iterate over each and every element. And each and every element in the map will be key value paired. Key will be the string and value will be the list of employee. So I'll write system.out.println. I'll say entry.get key. Okay. And I won't print the value. I'll say key. I'll write system.out.println and I'll put something like this. And I'll write system.out.print just a minute. Okay, I'll just say entry dot get value. That is perfect. Now this get value will give me the, now this get value also, what is it the, what is the value, what the value would be, tell me, what is the value? List of
Employee
employee. But I don't want the list of employee, entire employee object. I just want uh
name.
name. That's what I want. So what I'll do here is that again, I'll say entry dot value dot for each. You can see this here. For each, that means within the list. Again, it will loop each and every object and I'll system dot out to get name. लगता है उसने सुन लिया आपको. See, height of artificial intelligence. Did I write this code? It automatically the code completion worked, isn't it? Who said that you want to print the name?
Sir Mustafa.
मुस्तफा. वो सुन लिया आपको, देखो उसने मुस्तफा. Okay, so now let's print this and see the results. See, it will give us, so can you see this here now? See, Aberdeen, or else rather, see, Aberdeen Farhan, and then London Shaista and Amin, and then Gopal, Pranjal, Umar, Rehan, Prashant. Yeah, this is where you are. See the wonderful things you can see with the help of just kitna 2 lines ka code. Just 2 lines of code. And you're done. Imagine if you were to write the for loop and then the if statement and then create a map and then keep on pushing the values in the map. First check whether it is there. I mean, so much of work. But then here with just 2 lines, you're done. Isn't it? It's wonderful, isn't it? Okay. And then you see this is giving me a warning. There is a reason why it is giving me a warning. It's just not a warning, but it's a kind of a suggestion. Now, even before getting into this, what I'll do is that I'll just go back to my functional interfaces demo. You remember? Functional interfaces demo. Hey, how many of you all completed this successfully? Hope y'all all did this successfully.
Yes, sir.
Good.
Yes, sir.
It's very nice. Very nice. अच्छा, अब यहाँ पे क्या है पता है? Here also see it's giving me the same suggestion actually. So this is the lambda expression, but you can further add sugar to the syntax. I'll repeat, you can further add sugar to the syntax. This is called syntactic sugar. No, I'm not making up things. It is syntactic sugar. See, what does this mean? Syntactic sugar is a programming language feature that makes code easier to read and write without changing its behavior. That's what it is. It can make code more concise, reduce errors, and make complex operations easy to understand. That's what syntactic sugar is. So I can make this code much sweeter by adding sugar to the syntax. And what that is. See, when I say X, that means actually it is string, okay, X, whatever the value of, whatever the name of the variable is, and then string X and X dot, and so this is the parameter, X is the parameter of type string. What you are returning back is the length object, not this, length function. Length function returns to you the length of the string. And this length function is on which object? X object. X object is an object of which class? String class. See this. Here it is. This is the length function. Take a look at this. Take a look at this length function here. What it returns back is actually an int on the object. Now this is called the method. I can use this function as a method reference. I repeat, I can use this function as a method reference on the arbitrary object, the object on which this method will be called. So instead of writing like this, I can make it, okay, well, there is no harm in writing like this. No harm at all. It's just that you can make the code much more sweeter. And then if someone else has written the code, you must be able to understand. Otherwise, you will keep wondering, oh my God, it is supposed to be written like this, but then what has he written? And still it compiles successfully. So I'll say string length. See this? This is called the double colon operator. Instead of this, I can write, see, it becomes all the more shorter, all the more sweeter. That means what will happen is length is the function that will be invoked, that will be executed on the string object that is passed as a parameter. Whatever is the value that will be returned back. This is called method reference. Writing it in this format is known as what, friends? This is what? Method
Reference.
Method reference. In many places you will find method reference being used. Okay. Then here you see here also. Can you see this? X is passed as a parameter, but then this is string customer. So okay, let me give you an example of a supplier. Okay, see the supplier customer here. So what is it that you will be doing? You can write something like this, new export customer, fine. Or else you can write it like this. This is again constructor reference. I'll say employee, export customer, double colon new. Here you go. So you are referencing the constructor of this class. So the constructor will be executed and the object will be, returned back to the supplier. I mean, as a supplier object. So this is called constructor reference. So do not be surprised if you get something like this, constructor reference. Don't worry at all. And starting when I had started way back, when Java 1.8 was launched, and then when I got into it, this was definitely alien to me. All of these things were like, advanced topic for me. But I had to learn it because people were expecting that Shakir, you start providing trainings in Java 1.8. So I've got to first learn and study myself. And that time was ChatGPT was not available, right? For me to get the explanation. Books, again, book helps. There are videos there on YouTube. I am not a big fan of learning from videos. Videos are, something that goes along with its own pace. It may explain, my pace may be really very faster to learn, but the pace of the one who's explaining will go with the pace of the general masses. So he will definitely go slow, and I get bored. It's like, yaar, aag samajh mein aa gaya yaar, aage badh yaar, you know what? So, but I don't know how much to forward. Maybe I miss a point. So videos are really, and then doing research work on Google. with just okay, there is a subject matter and I want to do the research work. So if I just keep on googling what is this and what is that, so the information that I get is very scattered, so it's not systematic. So given a subject matter, I need to understand A first and then the B and then C. It helps, going in the order and then getting the relationship, and then so ChatGPT helps in that, yes. And that it will give you a very, very systematic approach of learning. Any new subject matter, it helps me in learning. So for example, you see this, this is what I really don't get time, and then I really got involved in something else. Yeah, देखो, roadmap to learning AI developers. Here ये है, I would like to put this point that I still find my own team members अपनी company में, I'm not happy with the skills that they have gained in prompt engineering. I'm not happy. Let this go out to everyone, right up till Atik, Owais and Azhar, to everyone else. They have not yet mastered the art of talking to AI, Gen AI specific platforms. They have not. नहीं सीखे अभी तक. Anyway, so a very systematic approach. एक चीज मुझे बताती है. So I have reached so far. I did not get time after that, so I got busy into something else. Okay, so coming back over here, what I was talking about, yes. So it was quite a new thing for me. It took some time for me to get my head around it. So do not worry. You all will also be, pro at it as you start. Now, today, Atik and Azhar and all of these people in this kind of code, they are pro at it. So I'll replace this with method reference. Now, this is how it helps working with a sophisticated IDE like IntelliJ, right? अभी और वो 1500 भी नहीं है. आज ही मुझे आई सॉ माय स्टेटमेंट, तो वहां पे इंटेलिजेंट का 1050 रुपीज ओनली, जस्ट 1050 रुपीज पर मंथ, राइट? इफ यू कैन get yourself this paid version of this IDE, great. If not, then also no problem. At least for Java, you don't need. Okay, collectors.grouping by employee double colon get city. What does this mean? Get city is the function that will be executed, and it will return a string back. And instead of having that entire lambda expression, you can have a sweeter version of this, this piece of code. So here you are with just 2 lines of code. Great, works like a charm, right, friends? So there are a lot many other things that you can do. Not only this, it's already 11 o'clock. There are a lot many things that you can do. I will still, so the buck doesn't stop here. I repeat, the buck doesn't stop here. There are a lot of things here, a lot of things. So the collectors, what have we learned? We have learned about filter. We have learned about map. We have learned about collectors, and especially we have. So which collector have we learned? Tool list. We have learned about group by, right? We have learned about group by. Now I can also suppose if I wanted to just simply get the list of all the cities, give me the list of cities to which my various different employees belong to. Of Infomover. We are all employees of Infomover Technologies, including me. I am an employee of Infomover Technologies. And yes, friends, it's important for you guys to know, I take salary from Infomover Technologies. As good as, so we are running this company very, very systematically. All the income that comes through the efforts of the company, when I do corporate trainings, that's my personal. None of you all are involved in, getting me the business or executing the training. Absolutely not. If one of you tomorrow does the training, then yes, I will bring that revenue in the company. Otherwise, that's my personal. वो बरसों से चल रहा है, I do not put it in the company. So if I earn something while doing corporate training, that's my personal thing. But other than that, all the projects that we do, any client work we do, any effort of any one of y'all, right from the first to the last person, if there is an effort going to serve the business needs of any client, the revenue, whether it is a rupee or a lakh of a rupee, it all comes in the business. And I take salary, though since last almost a year I have not taken my salary for good reasons, but everyone's salary is going absolutely great. It's always before 3rd of every month, all the salaries are credited. Well, point here is that yeah, where were we? क्या बात कर रहे थे हम लोग, भूल गया. सैलरीज पे कैसे आ गया? क्या पॉइंट था? हाँ, सिटी. So I said my employees. I wanted to correct myself, not my employees. We are all employees of Infomover Technologies, which is an entity, which is a company. Okay, going ahead. So suppose I want to get the list of all the cities, get me the cities to which all the employees of Info Technologies belong to. So what I'm going to do here is I'll say list of string. I want cities, okay, is equal to, again, I'll take employees dot, I'll say stream dot, I'll say map, okay, and I'll say, now you know what I'm talking about, employee dot get city. I'll get the city, collection dot to list. Got it? Now I'll say system dot auto println cities, and I'll just give again a separator here. And now see this, when I run this, I'll get the list of all the cities. Here you are. You can see this Bhopal, 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 Aberdeen, London, London. Why? Because these many are the employees, right? But then I'm getting duplicates. I don't want this. Doesn't make sense. I want the unique list of cities. So what will I do here? I just simply, instead of using to list, I'll use what? To
Hair set.
to set. That's it. I'll just say to set. And here, instead of a list, I'll say what it is? A set. I'll have to import set. Here you are done. I'll get the unique list. See. Here you can see this Aberdeen, London, Bhopal. Okay, give me a moment. Again, I have to open the door. Yeah, so you see this Aberdeen, London, Bhopal. Since it is a set, do not expect any particular order. But if you want it in the alphabetical order, so see, there is another collector that we have learned. What is that collector? To set is the collector. To list is the collector. Grouping by is the collector. Suppose if I want, so I, tree set to be used. So I'll say to collection, and I'll say tree set double colon new. So I will provide the constructor of tree set, which happens to be okay, which happens to be a sorted set. Tree set happens to be a sorted set. So you see this. Now when I run this, I'll get in the order Aberdeen, Bhopal, and London. Here you are. Got it. So we have learned about another collector called to collection. Or I will just say to set, and I will remove this. And I'll just comment this, right? So that it's there in the source code, you can recollect. So these are the collectors. And there are a lot, many other things. So for example, I've got this, and now for some reason, I want only any one city. Any one city, that's it, any one city. So what I'll do is that I'll go ahead with exactly the same thing. But now you see this, I'll say any city. Or I'll say the first city. Any first city. Or I'll say first city. First city. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is that instead of a list, I'll just say string first city. But then I'll say employees stream. I will map it. And instead of using a collector, I'll say find first. What will I do? Find first. So it will find the first city. So among all the cities, from all the cities, it will give me the first city. Find first. But what is it returning back? It is returning back an optional. Take a look. Two more times. What is it returning? Optional. One more time. It is returning optional. That means there may be first city, or maybe because of some filter that you have applied, because of some other processing that you have done, or maybe for any reason, there are no objects in employees list. It's empty. If it is empty, that optional object will be empty. If there is an object, it will not be empty. Optional again was introduced in Java 1.8. I repeat, optional was again introduced in Java 1.8. And in Java 1.8, that optional was kind of a center point to many APIs that was introduced in Java 1.8. Many of places you will find optional used. So optional string, it returns to you an object called optional. It may contain a value, it may not contain a value. If it contains a value, empty will be false. Okay. If it does not contain a value, empty will be true. So I'll say find first. And what, as I said, it will be an optional. So I'll say optional of string. Correct. So here you are. See. But then what will I here? I'll say. So I'll do this. I'll do this. I'll say if first city dot is present. This will give me what? Whether the object is present in that or not. Or else I can also use is empty. This is also something that I can use. If first city dot empty, if it is empty, I'll write system dot out dot println no city found. Else I'll write system dot println get city. So give me the city. Give me the city. That's what. Give me the whatever the city is. Get will get you the object from optional. I repeat, get will get you the data which is there in the optional object. So I've already checked for the condition. So this will give me the data. It will give me the first one. That is what? Aberdeen. Sorry, Bhopal. Okay, it gives me Bhopal. Yeah, okay, because I am not using a tree set or something, so the first one is Bhopal. In the order, it will be the same order because I'm using a list. You see this Bhopal, the first city. Now I can also have, instead of find first, I'll say any. Find any. Find first will always find the first one. Find any will find any out of the existing ones. See, it's just the coincidence it is giving me Bhopal, but not necessarily. Find any, not necessarily the first, but it will give you the same, so I'll say find first, okay, find any. So I'll comment this. Okay, find any, same stuff. But now there is yet another, I'll say dot any match, which will take a predicate. Match, right? I'm matching. It will take a predicate, a condition. If that matches, it will return or else no. So I'll say X. What is that X? Employee. The name of the city. Sorry, not the employee. The name of the city. So I'll say city and I'll say city dot equals. And I'll say London. Here you are. Now this any match will return to me, see, optional of, this will return to me a Boolean. It will not return an optional. So I'll do one thing. I'll keep this as it is. And instead, I will have another thing here and I'll say Boolean. And I'll say, is there, I'll say emp in this city. Okay, it's a Boolean, true or false. So here I will remove all of this. And here I'll say dot, and I'll say any match, and I'll say the name of the city is, so I'll say M, and I'll say, sorry, it's city, right? So I'll say city, and I'll say city dot equals, and I'll say London. I'll get true or false, tell me. System dot or println emp in the city. What will I get, true or false? I'll get true. There is, any match. That means, is there any object in that stream that matches this condition? See, it's true. I'll say Bhopal. That will also come as true. See this? That will also come as true. Here you are. It's coming as true. But if I give Indore, it will come as false because there is no object of type string having the value as Indore in the stream. You see, false. It comes as false. So all of these are, we use this very extensively, especially that grouping and stuff and all. Very extensive. Many a times what happens is that, I hope I have undivided attention. All there? Come on. Quick roll call. All there, friends?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Nice. Nice. Very nice. See this. So, we have done this grouping, so many a times what we do is that we do this grouping so that we do not have to make round trips to the server. I'll give you a simple example. What if I have what if I have a class called invoice? Okay, and I'll say @data. Okay, and I'll say private int ID private. Okay, int customer ID. And I'll say private string, not the name of the customer, but invoice details. Suppose I'll just keep this, that's it. Now the requirement is that I need the list of all the invoices with the name of the customers. When I store it in the database, I will not be showing the name. I will just store the customer ID along with the invoice. When I retrieve all the invoices from the database, and when I want to send it to the front end, what I want to send is the invoice VO. Class invoice VO. This VO stands for value object. I repeat, what it stands for? Value object. So here I'll say this is value object class. Value object class. This is a design pattern. This is just value object classes. You will find this a lot. Value object. Wikipedia, what is a value object? Coming back here. So here I will have private int invoice ID, private string, invoice details, suppose. And here I will also have private int customer ID, but along with the customer ID, I will also have private string customer name. I will have this also. So I will read the list of all the invoices. I will get the list of all the invoices from the database, which will have only the customer ID. I want to loop through it. And I want to create objects of invoice VO, which will contain customer ID as well as the customer ID will always be there, but then also the name of the customer. It's not difficult at all. It's very simple. Very, very simple. So what I'm going to do is that instead of continuing in the same this, I'll say more on streams. Okay, see this. I'll say main function. And now what I'm going to do here is that I'll just create some dummy data. I'll say list of invoice. Okay. And here I'll say list dot of. And here also in case of invoice, I'll say no args constructor all args constructor. Okay, so I'll say more on streams. I'll say list dot. I'll say new invoice. And here I'll say 101 comma customer ID is 101 again. And then I'll say okay. And invoice details is some invoice details. I'll say 1. I'll just keep it like that. That's it. Okay, so this is the new invoice. So all of these are the invoices. Suppose this is the data that is retrieved from database. Suppose this is the data that is retrieved from the database. And then the customer ID is 102, 120, or 111, or 100, or whatever, whatever. Suppose these are the two invoices that belongs to the same customer. And this is how it is. Okay, just for the sake of making up things. Now, what I want is that I want invoices which has got customer ID, but along with it, the name as well. The name of the customer as well, because that's what the front end is expecting. Front end will show the invoice along with the name of the invoice, right? Not just the ID. So what will I do is that I have already created that value object. I'll say invoice VO. Invoice VO. I'll say transformed invoices or whatever name. I'll say invoice VOs is equal to, I'll say invoices dot, I'll say stream dot, I'll say map and X. What that X would be? Invoice. And I want to convert that invoice into what? Come on, invoice VO. So I'll say invoice VO is equal to new invoice VO. Invoice VO dot, I'll say set invoice ID. I'll take from the original invoice ID and set it. See, it's giving me, VO dot set invoice details. All right. And here you are. This is perfect. Now, invoice VO dot set customer ID. Okay. So far, so good. And I'll say return invoice VO. But I'll say dot collectors dot to list. But where is the name? Name is not here. There's still customer ID. The name is not there. I hope you are all with me, friends. Give me undivided attention. Few more minutes. Yeah. अब कस्टमर नेम चाहिए ना मुझे इनवॉइस वीओ, इसलिए तो हमने ये सब कर रहे हैं हम लोग. डॉट सेट कस्टमर नेम. अभी नाम कहां से आएगा कस्टमर का? So here I will have to invoke the database call. However you may do it in your real life application, that's out of the scope of our discussion. You will have to make a database call to get the customer object by the customer ID. Customer ID तो है अपने पास, invoice.get customer ID है. I'll get customer ID. Based on customer ID, I'll get the customer object. And then get the name of the customer from the customer object. Okay, customer object. So suppose that customer is equal to, I'm putting a new customer out here. Sorry, I'll say export customer. Okay. Okay. Assume that this object is populated by the database call with the help of database call. Okay. So you have made a call to the database. You've got the customer object by the ID, whatever the ID of the customer was in that particular invoice. So वो invoice कौन से customer का था? That customer का you fire a database, you make a database call and you get the customer object, and then आपको एक बार customer मिल गया, so you say invoice के अंदर customer का नाम to which that invoice was raised would be customer dot get name. Yeah. But there is a serious problem here. I repeat, there is a serious problem here. What that problem is, tell me. Can someone point out the problem here? Here also, please assume that the invoices are obtained by the database call. And also assume that there are 1,000 invoices. Suppose. Say 500 invoices or 1,000. Suppose. Now, can you see a problem here? Tell me. Is there anyone who can point out a serious problem here with respect to performance, not functionality? Functionality will work. Functionality wise, this will work. But there is a serious problem with respect to performance, and what that is. बोलो 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 बोलो.
सर वो लिस्ट में
Sorry? Hello, am I audible? Hope the network connection is good.
यस सर
क्या problem है बोलो? See, if there are 1,000 invoices, so you will make one call, select star from invoices, you will get the list of 1,000 invoices. Then you are streaming over each and every invoice. I repeat, you are streaming over each and every invoice. You get the first invoice, next time you get in the loop, When you iterate internally, it iterates, of course. You get the second invoice and the third invoice. You'll get 1,000 invoices. Each time you get one invoice, you are making a database call. That means in order to get the name, you will end up making how many calls to the database? One call to get the list of all the invoices, one database call, and 1,000 database calls. Each call to get the customer object by the customer ID. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Your application is different and your database is different. There are two different processes that are running. And when it comes to production, also when you're developing, we never keep the database locally, we keep the database on Atlas or wherever. In any case, they are two different things. You establish a connection to the database and then you fire select statements. It's a network call that is happening. Even if both the things, your application as well as the database is on the same machine, then also there is a network call happening to the database. And through the network call, you're making a select statement, 1,000 times there will be select statements fired. And then you get the data. Things will be tremendously slow. Tremendously slow. Pathetic. Achha, एक बात बताऊं, this will work fantastic at the time of testing and building your application. Why? You will hardly have any real life data. You will test with 10, 15 records. And you'll be very happy. I've written a fantastic application. When it goes in production, you'll realize after some time when the data starts getting building up, instead of 10 invoices, you've got 1 in 10, 20, 30, 100, 200, 1,000 invoices, 2,000. Oh my God, the system has become slow. Why? Because of this bad code, this घटिया code. ऐसा ही कोड लिखना है तो नहीं लिखने का, हम लोग पूरी भाजी बेचेंगे. We will sell tea, vada pav. Right. But if you want to get into programming, make sure that you write elite class code. You become elite class programmer and write fantastic code. So you will find ways. And the best way here is that what I'm going to do, I'll fire once and for all. I will fire like I've, you fire a database call in order to get the list of all the invoices. I'll say customer. I'll say all customers. Okay, and I will get is equal to list of, here I'm hard coding. Please assume that we have made a database called data called to get the list of customers. Okay, here I'm hard coding. So I'll say new and I'll say customer, oops, 101. And then I'll say customer is JPMC. And then, oh, sorry, new export customer. And then okay, there is no @ data out here. Customer type, okay. So there is a customer type as well. What else? Resolve. ID name. What's wrong? What have we missed? Customer, or okay. Abstract ID. And then do we have any other constructor? No, we do not. So this should have actually worked. Otherwise, Why am I getting this? Call add the data. It says called so but this class does not extend java.lang.object. Why would all ask constructor not work? What is it that we are missing? Private int ID, private string name, customer, and then all ask customer because we have not made call to the super class, so the constructor. Okay, and then it's not declared here. Okay, let me check this out. Oh, oh, fine, this works. Okay, so I'll say 102, and then I'll say, okay, come back, friends. I'm sorry for this delay. And then I'll say Morgan Stanley. I'm sorry for this, friends. Okay, and then comma, and I'll say E again. Okay, so these are the two customer objects that I have. Again, I repeat, imagine that I have, assume that we have made a database call and then we have retrieved maybe, hundreds of customers. Okay, hundreds of customers. That's what we retrieve. I am just making up things here. We're not making database calls. Hence, I'm hard coding the value only and only so that we can discuss this topic. Okay, so this is the case. Now, what I'm going to do is this. I'll say list of integer, comma, sorry, I'll say map of, okay, integer, comma, the export customer object itself. And here I will say, I'll do one thing and I'll say export customer here. Export customer itself. And I'll say customer map is equal to, I'll say all customers dot, and I'll say stream dot, you can see this, I'll use a map. What will I use? I'll say x dot get ID. No, identity. Identity dot. Okay. Wait. I don't want to waste time. We are almost done. So I'll do one thing. Let me go to ChatGPT. No, I will go the cloud.ai. That and that has ID as the key and the entire export customer object as the object, as the corresponding object. See, we'll get it in a few seconds. Okay, here you are. Collectors.getID function.identity. That's what was. You can use function.identity. This is what I was looking for. See here. Here you go. Yeah. Okay, key mapper. So that's what I'm going to get, two maps. So I'm converting this entire thing. See the collector that is used here is collectors.toMap. And I'll say, get me, what will be the key? The key will be get ID. And what will be the object? The entire object value mapper, which is the entire customer object function.identity. That's what is used. Now, I would like to first and foremost system.out.println demonstrate this to you and show you that customer map, how it really looks like. Take a look. Let's run this and see how this customer map really looks like. See, 101, the entire customer object with 101. Can you see that? This is the key, this is the value. 101 is the key, and this is the value. So 101, the entire 101 object of customer. 102, the entire export customer object of 102. Can you see this here, friends?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
So,
sir.
correct, great. Now, once I've got the map out here, what will I do? Will I make a database call? Will I make a database call? No, I will not make a database call. Instead, I'll say customer map dot, I'll say get invoice dot get customer ID, get name. See here. See this, friends. Why? I have once and for all. So there are two calls. One call to get the invoices, another call to get the list of all the customers. I have mapped that customer into a data structure, which is a map of integer export customer, which helps me to get the map by the ID and the object, ID, object, ID, object. And then instead of each time within the stream, instead of going to the database, I just take the data from the map. Whatever is the invoice.get customer ID, for that customer ID, I am saying get key. Okay, let me simplify this for you. I'll say customer. I'll write rather export customer. Customer also would have done. Customer. I'll say C is equal to, I'll say customer map dot, you can see this. If you want me to make it much more simpler, I'll say customer ID in invoice is equal to, I'll say invoice dot get customer ID, and this customer ID in invoice, right? I'll get the customer object from the map, see, from the map based on that customer ID in invoice. And then that is the customer object that I can just simply C dot get. Okay, further I'll say string name of the customer is equal to C dot get name. See, get name. And here what will I set? I'll set the name of the customer. And as you have seen, I could have written that entire thing in one single line, but then see, in order to explain, it's just that I just wanted to explain, and hence I have broken it down into 3 lines out here. You see this 3 lines could have been written as, as a nested, but then, this is all. So I don't have to go to the database. You have avoided 1000 calls to the database. जी, ओके, आप बंद करके चले जाओ. Okay. See, so I'll say Chrome, and you see this here in our application itself, people had written, our programmers had written because, somehow, you guys are, on a luckier side, because the kind of training that I'm doing for you all, this kind of systematic training, I never did for any other previous, batches, never. I used to do training, but on and off, and not so very systematically on different topics. So, ये देखो, ये जो है ना यहाँ पे, ये देखो, see this in our own application in productivity. Okay, users, for example. Now, when I go to users here, I get the list of the users and the name of the user and stuff and so on. Okay, fine. You see this? I get the username. That's also all there in the users, collection. But what is the role of this user? It's a business role. And then what all are the projects? It comes from a different collection. Which all teams? It comes from a different collection. And then projects also, I need to get the name of the projects. Higher talent is the project, default is the project. So you see these domains, you can see this Bhopal is the domain, and a person may belong to multiple domains. And then you see this may belong to multiple teams. So Rising Star is a team. There can be other teams also that the same person may belong to. This is not in the same collection. It comes from a different collection. Now, how do I get all that? So I will have to keep on firing database calls. And if there are suppose 200, 300, 400, 500 users, for each one of those, I will end up making, 500 calls. So 500 calls to teams collection, 500 calls to projects collection, 500 calls to, because what I have here is just the team ID, the project ID, and so on. So this it used to take, so starting में जब testing करेंगे तो दो तीन things used to come fast, but then when it goes in production you realize, oh my god, this is so very slow. Why? Because you're getting the related data. That's the way to do it. See, this is the way to do it. If your application is not performing well, it's useless. It's useless, absolutely useless. Right now, whatever we have done, I will just simply, so what is it that we have discussed today? We have discussed a lot on streams. I used to do a lot of trainings for Capgemini. It's a huge company, Capgemini, and there, they had training rooms one after the other, like 10, 12 training rooms in Mumbai, in Vikhroli. So they, they're just state of the art training rooms, and then they used to put some lot of good things, good sayings and idioms there there on the walls. So one thing that I really liked, they had put is that the next best thing to not knowing something is to know where it exists or where to find it. So if I do not know a particular thing here in Java, but I know that that thing exists, और कहाँ से मुझे मिल सकती है, तो ठीक है ना, जब भी जरूरत होगी, whenever I need it, I'll just simply go and get it. Right? So the next best thing to not knowing something is to know where it can be found. Okay, so this is how it is, friends. And there is yet another thing that I would like to bring to your notice. See, time and again, I've been telling people that you all must learn the art of talking to AI. And do not be haphazard in talking to AI. Do not take, you've got to take it very seriously. Otherwise, you give junk to Claude.ai or ChatGPT, it will spit junk. वो आपको जंक ही दे देगा फिर. आप जंक दोगे तो रिस्पॉन्स में भी जंक ही आएगा. Now, I wanted in my application, I wanted to build these 3 APIs. ये आप देख रहे हो, ये एक API बनाना था मुझे. ये एक API बनाना था मुझे. See, and then this is the API that I wanted to build. Right? See this. Now I spent time. I want something to write. If I myself do not know what is it that I want to achieve, it's useless. So first I must be crystal clear. ये लिखते लिखते so many times I changed my mind. So many times I refined, more than saying changed my mind, I refined my thoughts on how it should work. I repeat, while writing these requirements for Claude.ai, I myself refined my requirements, and then I spent time. ये दिखता है खाली इतना सा paragraph, but it took good amount of time for me to write this. It took some 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes लगा होगा ये मुझे because वापस गया, change किया, वापस गया, and then I'm clear. यही चाहिए. So I want to talk. I have a Django-based application in which I need to implement the APIs that can be invoked in order to send mails. तो उसको context मिल गया. Mails, email campaigns का कुछ बना रहे हैं. The entire application structure and architecture is already in place. Why? Otherwise, it will start giving me the whole project. तो मैंने इसको पहले ही बोल दिया, मेरा आर्किटेक्चर सेट है. आई हैव अटैच्ड द स्क्रीनशॉट ऑफ द एप्लीकेशन स्ट्रक्चर व्हिच हैज एन ऐप कॉल्ड ईमेल कैंपेन्स. तो वहां से स्क्रीनशॉट लेके दे दिया ताकि उसको समझ में आ जाए ये मेरा स्ट्रक्चर ऑलरेडी है. आई हैव डिस्क्राइब्ड ऑल द एपीआईज बिलो, या नीचे दिया है. फॉलोइंग इज व्हाट आई वांट यू टू डू. ए फाइंड द कॉमन फंक्शनैलिटी नीडेड एंड इंप्लीमेंट मॉड्यूल्स एंड सर्विसेज अकॉर्डिंगली. तो मैंने बोल दिया देखो बहुत सारी चीज यहाँ पे कॉमन है, तो बराबर रीयूजेबिलिटी वाला कोड दे दो. ओके फाइन. क्रिएट क्लासेस वेयर एवर एप्लीकेबल एंड जनरल फंक्शंस वेयर एवर. तो कहीं पे मॉड्यूल में डायरेक्ट फंक्शंस देना है, क्लासेस देना है, क्लासेस दे दो. फॉर नाउ डू नॉट इंप्लीमेंट द एक्चुअल फंक्शनैलिटी ऑफ सेंडिंग द ईमेल. आई डिड नॉट वांट दैट. वो पप्पू है, बाद में कर लेंगे. जस्ट पुट अ प्रिंट सेंड ईमेल इन दैट, एंड देन द मेन फोकस ऑफ दिस स्टेज ऑफ कोडिंग is to get the services right. कौन सी सर्विस में क्या लिखा होगा वो मुझे चाहिए, with reusability and maintainability in mind. Note that I already have contact model created with the required services. Also consider employee template, email template and contract filter. ये चीज मुझे उससे नहीं चाहिए, मेरे पास ऑलरेडी है. तो मैंने बता दिया ये मत देना भैया. The tokens in the email templates look, मैंने उसको एक एग्जांपल दिया कि टोकन कैसे होंगे, that needs to be replaced run time. तो मैंने अच्छे से एक्सप्लेन कर दिया. फिर ये एपीआई का क्या इंप्लीमेंटेशन होना चाहिए, ये वाले एपीआई का क्या इंप्लीमेंटेशन होना चाहिए, अच्छे से वो लिख दिया है. 1 2 3 4 बुलेट पॉइंट्स। ये वाला एपीआई का क्या होना चाहिए, हाँ ये इतना आना चाहिए कि हाउ शुड द एपीआई लुक लाइक, व्हाट मस्ट बी द। नहीं तो फिर ये भी अगर आप उसको पूछो कि यू गिव मी द यूआरएल ऑफ द एपीआई, तो वो भी दे देगा, ये भी दे देगा वो, है ना। तो फिर और अच्छे से ज्यादा एक्सप्लेन करना पड़ेगा, उसको कर सकते हैं। बट आई वॉज क्लियर ऑन व्हाट आई रियली वांटेड। मुझे टाइम नहीं स्पेंड करना है कि मैं बैठ के लिखूं और जहां जहां मैं फंबल करूं, आई डू गूगल स्टफ, आई आस्क ChatGPT और Claude.ai in my case, and it gave me the fantastic code. See, ये रहा, ये रहा। So पूरा कोड दे दिया मुझे, पूरा कोड दे दिया, right? And then I went on asking, so it gives me multiple versions. See, this is the first version, this is the second version, this is the third version. इसमें कुछ changes है, ये है, फिर अब all that step by step it went on giving me. I have already put this code, and then after putting the code, you have got to study the code. ऐसा नहीं है अंधे बन के कुछ भी लिख देना है, कुछ भी डाल दिया और चला दिया। और एंड डू नॉट पुट एनीथिंग फ्रॉम Claude.ai into your project till the time you don't really need it and you are not ready for it, right? नहीं तो सब फटने लगेगा, एंड यू विल नॉट नो वेयर टू मेक व्हाट चेंजेस। सो आहिस्ता आहिस्ता देखो, ये फिर मैंने एक करके लाइन पढ़ा। आई स्टडीड दिस एंटायर थिंग, आई अंडरस्टूड व्हाट इट हैज गिवन मी। Only after understanding, then I am confident, oh, this is exactly what I wanted. Otherwise, I will go back to Claude.ai and say, hey, this is not what I wanted. I will copy this code snippet, copy paste it over there, and I'll say, give me a different version of this code snippet with doing this, not this. Oh, मुझे ये वाला code snippet देगा। I spent just Saturday and Sunday yesterday, and this is what I built. I'm so happy. देखो, अगर आप लोग ये सब अच्छे से नहीं सीखेंगे ना, तो शाकिर अगला बढ़े पूरा प्रोजेक्ट लिख लेगा। शाकिर छोड़ो, मेरा तो बिजनेस ही ये है कि आप लोगों को दूसरे क्लाइंट प्रोजेक्ट्स पे डालना है। क्लाइंट के यहाँ पे जहां पे 5 प्रोग्रामर्स चाहिए, वो लोग एक टेक लीड रख के काम कर लेंगे ना। सब लोग सुन रहे हो? हेलो?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
फ्रेशर्स को
Yes.
ब्रेक ही नहीं मिलेगा if you all do not rise up to the level of being an expert at talking to AI. People will hire, instead of 5 programmers and 1 tech lead, they will hire 1 tech lead. Tech lead, I'm playing the role of tech lead. मैं लिख रहा हूँ, ये देखो, ये पूरा इंप्लीमेंट 2 दिन के अंदर पूरा हो गया। नहीं तो ये हफ्ता भर लग जाता, 2-3 प्रोग्रामर्स लग जाते, एंड देन उसमें भी फिर इश्यूज ये वो सब रिजॉल्व करो। ये देखो, ईमेल टेम्पलेट्स, fantastic. First of all, I implemented this contacts. पहले से implemented था. These are the features that I have added. So you see, these are the additional features that were added. So if I select this and this contact, delete पहले से added था, subscribe, unsubscribe and set segment मैंने डाल दिया। इतना जल्दी हो गया ये। For example, I want to set the segment of these two, so I'll just select this, I'll just set segment, a dialog box opens up, and then I'll say small and medium sized organization. So suppose these two organize, ये dev environment है, I can play with it. Organization, okay, so that's what it is, and I say submit. ये रहा, change हो गया, zup से change हो गया फटाक से, right? ये implement किया फटाक से। अच्छा, फिर ये तो पहले से ये functionality selection का इन लोग ने कर दिया था। अच्छा, now filter. So whatever filter, I can keep on creating new filters. जो भी फिल्टर चाहिए मुझे, इतना फंटा, आई एम सो हैप्पी, इतना मजा आया। I was in air. Saturday evening, I was in air. हवा में उड़ रहा था मैं। मेरा चलने का स्टाइल अलग, मेरा उठने बैठने का स्टाइल अलग। इट्स लाइक इतना मजा आ रहा था। ये पूरा एंड टू एंड इंप्लीमेंट किया। इट्स लाइक आई कैन बिल्ड माय ओन क्वेरी बेसिस व्हिच it will filter the data and bring it over here. I can create my own query. For example, let me edit this and put the last name as say Mr. Wala. Okay, and the first name is say Farhan. Okay, I'll say Nomar. Okay, so this is updated. Yeah, so it's updated. Now suppose I want to get the list of, I want to get only and only those records where the surname is Mr. Wala. Maybe there are 10-15 people with surname Mr. Wala. Right, so I will create a query right here. This is the MongoDB query that I'm creating. और वो automatically execute हो जाएगा. Interesting, isn't it? And I'll give a title to this query so that it gets saved so that I can reuse it later. So say for example, the title of this is all Mr. Wala contacts. Right, this is the name that I'm giving. And what will I do here? I'll say last name colon and I'll say Mr. Wala. And then I'll say save and execute. As you can see, there's only that one. ये आ गया. No man Mr. Wala आ गया. I go back to the filter और यहाँ पे बताएगा कि कौन सा filter है. ये देखो. If I click here, it will bring back all the records. Again, I go to filter out here and then I select the same filter, all Mr. Wala contacts. If I say execute this, here you are. आ गया. If I go back over here and if I say, first name, contact 12, एक भी नहीं है records. मैंने वो change कर दिया. Okay, if I select this, तो ये आ गया. I'll say all contacts, the all contacts. This is, like all contacts query. And then subscribe, so I'll get the list of only those that are subscribed. Getting it? Interesting, isn't it? Here you are. Here. So filter is working and it saves the filter. It saves the filter. So that I can reuse the filter. I just have to, बार बार मुझे डालने की जरूरत नहीं है, वो save हो गया. And I can also change the filter. Suppose if I wanted to change this filter of all Mr. Wala, I'll just say edit. आ गया यहाँ पे, मैंने Mr. Wala's कर दूंगा मैं यहाँ पे. Of course कुछ नहीं आएगा, अपडेट कर लिया. कुछ नहीं आया. Why? Because Mr. Wala's नहीं है. Again, I go back over here and I change here to. It works. It works like a charm. See, fantastic, isn't it? Right? Create content icon. ये तो पहले से implemented था. And then I can run campaigns. But before that, you can see this. This is yet another thing that I implemented. मजा आ गया इसमें तो. You see this. I can edit a template. I can give a name to the template and a description. I can click here and I can write the entire HTML template which will give me the preview here. ये देखो. ये दूसरा वाला मैं आपको बताता हूँ. ये देखो. यहाँ पे just an example. Whatever I give here. If I say color is equal to, and I say red, so it is red color. H1. नहीं है. स्टाइल देना पड़ेगा ना. स्टाइल इज इक्वल टू कलर कोलन रेड. हो गया. HR डालूंगा तो HR आ गया. क्या चाहिए और बोलो. P for paragraph. P and ये all formatted. This is the Monaco editor that we are using. Okay, this is the demo. Okay, to all the folks. And if I want here, I can say पूरा एक div डाल सकता हूँ मैं यहाँ पे. Div. I can put a div out here. Div. I can put style is equal to font hyphen family colon Helvetica. Here, font change. I can save it. I can save it. It's saved. And again, when I click, it's there as it is. It's saved to the database. Whatever the campaign is, so I can create my email templates right from here. I can create my email templates right from here. समझ में आ रहा है सब लोग? देख रहे हो?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. ये email templates भी मैं थोड़ी ना यहाँ पे बैठ के बनाते बैठूंगा such clumsy. ये पूरा देखो, ये fantastic email template है. Elite development talent on your terms, giving demo. ये तो giving demo इसी मैंने लिख दिया था. I was giving this demo to my wife. उसके पास भी मैं थोड़ा बड़ा ही मार रहा था. मैं देखो क्या implement किया. She is also a high class developer by the way. So you see this 120 days. Retainer model, premium development services at the blah blah. सब dummy है. But then otherwise, ये कैसे बनाया? ये पूरा अब क्या मैं लिखते बैठूंगा? नहीं. See this again. What? I'm already in Chrome. Email template. Email template management system. No. Okay. Email template. Here it is. Here it is. So I explained मुझे ये content है मेरा. ये देखो. This is the prompt that I gave. ये देखो. Generate a beautiful email template for me along with the content. Generate the content based on the following lines. We have introduced a pricing model wherein the companies can purchase software development services on blah 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 blah. ये मैंने डाला है. अब ये उसने मुझे ये पूरा टेम्पलेट दे दिया पूरा. और email templates, what is important is that when you send HTML based emails to people, उसके अंदर JavaScript and classes and you cannot link to the CSS files. It is supposed to be all inlined. The CSS is, I mean, the styling is supposed to be inlined. तो इसने मुझे पूरा जनरेट करके दे दिया, ये कोड दे दिया उसने मुझे पूरा. ये पूरा कोड एज इट इज उठा के हमने कहाँ सेव कर देना है बताइए, यहाँ पे डन. और उसका मुझे प्रीव्यू यहाँ पर मिल रहा है. अब मुझे कुछ चेंज करना है तो मैं डायरेक्टली यहाँ पे चेंज कर सकता हूँ. आई कैन सेव चेंजेस. नाउ वंस दिस इज डन, आई विल रन कैंपेन्स. आई गो टू कॉन्टैक्ट्स and then I will select the filter. I'll say these are the people to whom I want to send. Suppose say all Misrwalas. इन लोगों को मुझे email campaign भेजना है, right? So for example, if I want to send email campaigns to all training vendors, I want to send email campaigns to small and medium-sized organizations or large organizations. So I'll create a campaign and then I say run campaign. When I say run campaign, this will give me the list of all the templates that are already created. If I select this, it gives me the preview. When I select this, it gives me the preview. अभी हमने बनाया आपके सामने ये. See? Suppose if I select this now, and then I say burst mode or single contact mode, whatever it is, and then I will, now this is all done, but then on clicking on this, I will call the APIs that I'm implementing where? Over here in Python. ये application से I'll just simply call APIs from here, passing the data, the template ID and filter ID and all that stuff, and it will start sending emails one after the other. ईमेल कैंपेन का एप्लीकेशन बन गया. ये जो है ना, ये प्लेटफॉर्म ये यही करता है. ऑफ कोर्स बहुत सारा उसके पास और भी बहुत सारा फीचर्स है. मेलचिम्प, right? Convert more with automations. We are number one email marketing and automation platform. हमने अपना ही बना लिया. 2 दिन लगे, सिर्फ 2 दिन, 2 days. से शाबाश शाकिर, शाबाश शाकिर. Just kidding, guys. Just kidding. Okay, we are done for the day. What is important is that you learn first the technology, you learn programming and become an expert, and then start using AI in order to build projects, write code in blazing speed with blazing speed. Okay? Yes? All set?
Yes, sir.
Okay, friends, we'll call it a day. Thank you so much. Thanks so much for joining. And I will share this recording. I'll put it on YouTube and I will share it with you all. Thank you. Bye-bye. Take care. Thanks.
Assalamu alaikum.